Hey everyone, and welcome back to Love Hackers.
Yeah.
Your daily dose of dating advice is served up hot.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm Alex Carter,
And I'm Sophie Tanaka.
and we are your resident dating experts here to help you crack the code of love.
That's right.
Today we're diving deep into a situation that's probably making you want to chuck your phone across the room.
Oh, yeah.
The dreaded silent treatment.
Oh,
You know when you pour your heart into a text and all you get back are crickets?
it's the worst.
Yeah, we're going there.
Buckle up.
It's definitely a head scratcher and can make you feel like you're stuck in dating purgatory.
Totally.
But before you assume the worst, let's just take a breath and unpack this, shall we?
Please.
Because jumping to conclusions can lead to all sorts of unnecessary drama.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like that old saying,
Oh, here we go.
when you assume you make an ass out of you and me.
Uh-huh.
Okay, maybe I paraphrase that.
So
a
good,
bit.
Tad.
But the point is,
Yeah.
understanding the reasons why a woman might be ignoring your text.
Is crucial before you even think about what to do about it. Absolutely, 100%.
And you might be surprised to learn that sometimes
Yeah.
the reasons have nothing to do with you.
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
We live in a world of constant distractions.
Oh my gosh, don't I know it?
Work deadlines,
Yeah.
family emergencies,
Mm-hmm.
friend drama, that Netflix show everyone's talking about.
Always a new one.
It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of life and just let messages slip through the cracks.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. I'm definitely guilty of getting sucked into a social media black hole and forgetting to text people back.
Oh yeah, me too.
But let's be honest.
Okay.
Sometimes it does feel personal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not a priority in her life.
I get it. It's
Yeah.
natural to crave that feeling of being someone's top priority.
Especially when you're really into them.
Especially, yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Not being someone's sole focus 24/7
Mm-hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean they don't care. In fact, it can be a sign of a healthy, well-rounded individual
Right.
who has interests and responsibilities
Yeah.
outside of just dating.
That's a good point.
Right.
It's all about finding that balance.
Right? Balance is key.
You want someone who's excited to hear from you, but also has a life of their own.
For sure.
But what about when it feels like a pattern?
Yeah.
Like she's consistently overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
and can't even shoot back a quick, hey.
Ooh, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because sometimes silence can be a subtle form of communication.
Hmm.
Think of it this way. If someone is constantly bombarded with messages, it can feel suffocating.
Yeah.
That silence might be her way of saying,
Right.
hey, I need a little breathing room.
Whoa. I never thought of it like that.
Right.
It's like a reverse psychology thing.
Kinda.
She's not saying she's not interested.
Yeah.
She's just signaling that she needs a different pace.
Precisely.
Hmm.
And it's not necessarily a red flag. It just means you need to adjust your approach.
Okay.
Remember, dating is a dance, not a race.
Speaking of adjusting, this whole
Oh.
conversation reminds me of a time I totally misread the signals
Oh.
and ended up making a fool of myself.
Oh, no.
I was texting this girl I really liked,
Mm-hmm.
and she went silent for a few days.
Okay.
I immediately went into panic mode,
Yeah.
convinced she was ghosting me.
Oh, the worst.
I did the worst possible thing. I sent this long, rambling apology text,
Oh, no.
basically begging for her attention.
Ooh,
Looking back, it was super cringy.
we've all been there.
Yeah.
So how did she react?
She finally texted back like, whoa, chill out.
Oh, my God.
It's not a big deal. I was just swamped with work and family stuff.
Okay.
I felt so silly for overreacting.
Yeah.
It turns out she was genuinely busy,
Mm-hmm.
and I had completely misread the situation.
It happens.
Yeah. But that story highlights a really important point.
Which is perspective.
Perspective, yes.
We often jump to conclusions based on our own insecurities and anxieties.
Without considering the other person's side of the story,
Exactly.
right? It's like we create these narratives in our heads without any real evidence.
100%.
So how do we avoid those pitfalls?
Yeah.
How do we get better at understanding her perspective?
Well, first remember that we live in a world
Okay.
where people, especially women, are bombarded with options.
Yeah.
Think about dating apps.
Oh, yeah.
You might be just one of many guys she's chatting with.
It's like trying to stand out in a crowded room, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that can lead to some unexpected behaviors.
Okay.
For example, sometimes people get intimidated by someone they find really attractive or successful.
Mhm.
They might clam up because they're afraid of messing things up.
Oh.
They might overthink every text, worried about saying the wrong thing.
So it's like they're putting you on a pedestal, which can be paralyzing.
Right. And then there's another fascinating phenomenon we see in the dating world.
Okay, what's that?
Solipsism.
Solipsism, that sounds intense.
It can be.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's the idea that someone sees themselves as the center of the universe, and everyone else is just a supporting character in their story.
Wow.
They might dominate conversations, always steer the topic back to themselves,
Oh, yeah.
and show little genuine interest in what you have to say.
Have you ever encountered that in your work?
Unfortunately, more often than you'd think.
Oh, no.
And honestly, if you're dealing with someone who exhibits strong solipsistic tendencies,
Yeah.
it's probably a good thing if they fade out of the picture.
Yeah.
Those relationships rarely end well.
Okay, so we've talked for all these different reasons why a woman might go silent.
Mm-hmm.
But now, the million-dollar question.
Hit me with it.
What should you do about it?
Ooh.
What's the best way to handle the situation?
That's what we'll be diving into next. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Love Hackers.
We're continuing our deep dive into the reasons behind those silent pauses in your text conversations.
And remember, before you spiral into a vortex of self-doubt,
Right.
it's important to consider that silence doesn't always equal rejection.
Right.
There's a whole spectrum of possibilities, and some of them might actually be positive signs.
Mm-hmm.
Remember we talked about the intimidation factor.
Yeah.
Sometimes a woman might be so captivated by you that she hesitates to text back right away.
Okay, I am all ears. Tell me more about how being intimidating can actually work in your favor.
Think about it this way. If a woman finds you incredibly attractive, intelligent, or successful, she might overthink her responses, worried about saying the wrong thing.
Oh, okay.
It's like she's putting you on a pedestal,
Yeah.
and she doesn't want to accidentally knock you off.
So she's basically frozen by her own admiration.
Brave.
That's kind of sweet, actually.
It can be.
Yeah.
She might even be replaying your past conversations in her head,
Mm-hmm.
analyzing every word, trying to figure out how to impress you.
Wow, I never considered that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the best approach in this scenario? Should you try to make her feel more comfortable, less like she's under a microscope?
Absolutely. You can try sending a lighthearted message.
Yeah.
Something that shows you're down to earth and approachable.
Okay.
Maybe a funny meme, she'd appreciate.
Yeah.
Or a comment about something you both enjoy.
Right.
Something that says, hey, I'm just a regular guy who happens to be interested in you.
I like that. Keep it playful and take the pressure off.
Exactly. And remember, a little vulnerability can go a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Sharing something personal about yourself in a lighthearted way, of course, can make her feel more comfortable opening up to you, too.
For example, instead of just sending a generic, hey, you could try something like, I'm attempting to bake cookies for the first time.
Uh-huh.
Wish me luck.
Yeah.
What's your favorite dessert?
Ooh.
It's playful, personal, and invites her to share something about herself, too.
Perfect example.
Awesome.
Now let's talk about another reason for silence that we touched on earlier.
Okay.
The comfort test.
Ah, yes, the infamous comfort test.
Mm-hmm.
Can you break this down for our listeners?
Sure.
What exactly is this test, and why do women use it?
The comfort test is basically a way for women to gauge your reaction when they're not constantly available.
Okay.
It's a way to see how you handle a little bit of space.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know that you have a life outside of chasing after them, that you're confident and secure in yourself even when they're not around.
So if she suddenly goes quiet,
Yeah.
it could be a strategic move to see if you'll blow up her phone with needy messages,
Right.
or if you'll maintain your calm.
Exactly. And the worst thing you can do in this situation is fail the test.
Oh.
If you start acting desperate or insecure, it can be a major turnoff.
Right.
It's like you're saying, my entire world revolves around you and I'm lost without you.
Yeah.
Not exactly the message you want to send.
So what's the key to passing this test with flying colors?
The key is to stay calm, cool, and collected.
Easy for you to say.
Don't overreact to her silence. Instead, focus on your own life, your own interests, your own friends. Hit the gym, catch up with a buddy, finally organize your sock drawer, whatever makes you feel good and centered.
So basically, live your best life.
Exactly.
And let her see that you're not sitting around waiting for her to text back. You have a life, and it's awesome with or without her.
Exactly. Remember, scarcity creates value.
Hmm.
When you're not constantly available, it makes you more intriguing. It shows that you have options and that your time is valuable.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. But this whole ignoring her back thing feels a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it?
I can see that.
Like, isn't communication the foundation of a healthy relationship?
I understand why you might think that.
Yeah.
But trust me, playing it cool is often the most effective approach,
Okay.
at least in the early stages of dating.
Hmm.
It shows that you respect yourself and your time.
Right.
It sends the message that you're not going to chase after someone who's not making an equal effort.
It's like you're saying, hey, I'm interested, but I'm not desperate. If you want to be a part of my life, you're going to have to meet me halfway.
Exactly. And honestly, if she's not willing to put in the effort,
Yeah.
then she's probably not the right person for you anyway.
Right.
It's better to find out sooner rather than later so you can focus your energy on someone who's truly excited to connect with you.
Yeah, that's true.
But let's be real.
Yeah.
There are times when it's tough to resist the urge to reach out,
Oh, yeah.
even when you know you should probably hold back.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Sometimes your heart just wants what it wants. Logic,
Yeah.
be damned.
I hear you.
But are there ever times when it's actually okay to break the silence and text back when you're being ignored?
That's a great question.
Okay.
And the answer is it depends.
Okay.
There are definitely situations where it might be appropriate to reach out again,
Oh.
even if she hasn't responded to your last message.
Okay. Let's dive into those exceptions.
Sure.
When is it actually okay to throw the play it cool rule out the window?
Well, first of all, if you have a legitimate practical reason to contact her, like you need to confirm plans,
Yeah.
or you left something at her place,
Right.
then go ahead and send a message.
Okay.
Keep it brief, polite, and to the point.
Makes sense. No need to play games when there are actual logistics involved.
Right.
What about if you're genuinely worried about her? Like
Mhm.
if you haven't heard from her in a while,
Yeah.
and something feels off.
If you have a genuine concern for her safety or well-being, it's absolutely okay to check in.
Okay.
Just send a simple message like, hey, just wanted to make sure you're okay.
Mhm.
Haven't heard from you in a while.
Right.
It shows you care without being overbearing or demanding a response.
That's a good approach.
Yeah,
It acknowledges the silence without making a big deal out of it.
right. But here's the catch. If
I-
she doesn't respond to that message, then it's time to back off completely.
Okay.
You've done your due diligence, you've expressed your concern, and now the ball is in her court.
So you've covered the practical and the compassionate reasons to break the silence.
Mm-hmm.
But what about if there's no real reason to reach out,
Yeah.
other than the fact that you're really into her and you
Mhm.
can't stand the thought of not hearing from her?
I get it. The heart wants what it wants.
Ugh, yeah.
But in those cases, it's even more important to exercise restraint.
Okay.
Remember, you're not doing yourself any favors by chasing after someone who's not reciprocating your feelings.
Right.
It can erode your self-esteem and make you question your worth.
It's tough love, but it's true.
It is.
You're better off channeling that energy into someone who's actually excited to hear from you.
Exactly.
But let's say you've given her space.
Okay.
You've resisted the urge to double text,
Mm-hmm.
and you're ready to try re-engaging.
Okay.
What are some alternative texting strategies that don't scream, I've been obsessively checking my phone for the past 3 days?
That's what we're going to unpack next. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Love Hackers. We're wrapping up our deep dive into the silent treatment, and hopefully by now you're feeling a lot less stressed about those radio silences in your text conversations.
Exactly. Remember, silence doesn't always equal rejection. There's a whole universe of reasons why someone might not be texting back right away. And sometimes that silence can actually work in your favor.
We've definitely covered a lot of ground today, from understanding her perspective to mastering the art of playing it cool. But before we sign off, I wanted to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, self-awareness. It seems like that's a key ingredient in all of this.
Absolutely. Self-awareness is essential in any relationship, but it's especially crucial in dating. It's about being honest with yourself about your needs, your expectations, and yes, even your texting habits.
So how does self-awareness actually play out in the real world of dating and texting?
Well, for starters, pay attention to how often you're texting her and how quickly you expect a response. Are you bombarding her with messages, hoping to keep the conversation going at all costs? Are you getting anxious if she doesn't reply within minutes? Do you start crafting witty responses in your head before she's even had a chance to read your last message?
Those are great questions to ask yourself.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, sometimes we can be our own worst enemies in the dating game. We project our own insecurities and anxieties onto the other person, and that can create a whole lot of unnecessary drama.
It's so true. We create these stories in our heads based on our past experiences, our fears, our deepest desires. But those stories aren't always accurate reflections of what's actually happening.
So how do we break free from those self-sabotaging patterns? How do we become more aware of our own baggage and how it might be influencing our reaction?
It starts with recognizing your triggers. What makes you feel insecure or anxious in dating? Is it fear of rejection? Is it a need for constant validation? Is it a deep-seated belief that you're not worthy of love? Once you identify those triggers, you can start working on managing them in a healthy way.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But how do you actually do that? It's one thing to recognize your triggers, but it's another thing to actually change your behavior.
It's definitely a process, and it takes time and effort. But one of the most effective ways to manage those insecurities is to cultivate a life that is so rich and fulfilling that a delayed text message becomes a minor blip, not an earthquake.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling that urge to double text or obsess over her response time, maybe it's a sign that you need to shift your focus.
Exactly. Go for a run, immerse yourself in that book you've been meaning to read. Call a friend, work on that project you've been putting off. Fill your life with things that bring you joy, challenge you, and make you feel alive.
I love that advice. Because ultimately, the best way to attract someone amazing is to be an amazing person yourself.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Now, to bring this all together, let's talk about some specific texting strategies that can help you navigate those awkward silences without losing your cool. You mentioned earlier that a simple hey can be surprisingly effective. What are some other ways to re-engage without coming across as needy or desperate?
One tactic is to act as if the conversation never stopped. Pick up where you left off with a comment or question related to your previous exchange. For example, that article you mentioned about topic totally made me think of your own perspective. What are your thoughts?
I like that. It's casual, effortless, and shows that you're actually paying attention to what she said.
Right. And another tip, focus on shared interests or experiences. Mention something you both enjoy, like a favorite band, a funny movie, or a recent event you both attended. It creates a sense of connection and gives her a reason to respond.
So instead of just a plain hi, you could say something like, I just walked past place you both went to, and it totally reminded me of a funny memory. How's your week going?
Exactly. It's a conversation starter that feels organic and engaging, not forced or desperate.
Okay, so we've covered the hey approach and the act like nothing happened approach.
Yeah.
Any other strategies up your sleeve?
One more. This one is especially effective if you've established a bit of a playful rapport. You can try sending a funny meme or GIF that relates to something you've talked about before. It's a lighthearted way to say, hey, I'm thinking about you, without putting any pressure on her to respond.
I love that. It's like a little inside joke that only the two of you share.
Exactly. It shows that you're paying attention and that you remember the things that make her laugh.
Well, folks, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the silent treatment. Hopefully you're feeling more equipped to handle those texting curveballs with grace, confidence, and a healthy dose of self-awareness.
Remember, dating should be fun, not a constant source of anxiety. So take a deep breath, stay true to yourself, and don't be afraid to walk away from anyone who's not treating you with respect.
That's right. Know your worth.
Right.
Before we go, I want to remind you that I'm Alex Carter.
And I'm Sophie Tanaka.
And this has been Love Hackers, your daily dose of dating advice. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this episode with anyone who might need a little help decoding the mysteries of the dating world.
And as you go about your day, we want to leave you with one final thought-provoking question. Think about a time someone ignored your messages. What was their perspective?
Until next time, happy dating.